Hello! Have you always struggled with remembering what is an epimer or an enantiomer? Are galactose and maltose epimers? What again is an alpha anomer? If you're just starting to study carbohydrate chemistry, I'm sure it is structural isomerism that you find daunting as what I have encountered during my time. Welcome to this lecture on carbohydrate isomerism. So, spare these few moments, we will go through each type, and after this lecture, hopefully you will have a better understanding of this topic. This is how we're going to discuss carbohydrate isomerism. We're going to start by defining what isomers are, then going into the different types of isomerism. First, we'll discuss what stereoisomers and epimers are, followed by discussing your enantiomers and differentiating it from your optical isomers. Then we'll proceed to discuss the Pyran ring and Furan ring isomers, leading to your Anomers discussion, and we'll end up with your Aldose-Ketose Isomers. So what are isomers? Basically, isomers are defined as two or more compounds with the same formula but a different arrangement of atoms in the molecule and different properties. As we can see here, monosaccharides exhibit isomerism. All of these structures have the common chemical formula C6H12O6, but as we can see here, we can see that they are different stereochemically. To continue, stereoisomerism more specifically is defined as molecules having the same functional groups and connectivity, but they differ only in the arrangement of atoms and bonds in space. And the concept of stereoisomerism is exemplified in monosaccharides. The number of possible stereoisomerism depends on the number of asymmetric carbon atoms, N. So in this case, if we're going to look into the number of chiral carbons in this aldohexose, we can see that it is 1, 2, 3, 4, that we have 4 chiral carbons. Once we have counted the number of asymmetric or chiral carbons, we can predict the number of stereoisomers a monosaccharide will have. It will be equal to 2 raised to the n, with n being the number of chiral carbons. So if we're going to look at this specific example, this is glucose, and glucose has 4 chiral carbons. Following the 2 raised to the n rule, it would have how many? 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. It will have 16 possible stereoisomers. Again, stereoisomers, or some would refer to them as distereoisomers, they have the same chemical formula but differ in the position of the hydroxyl group on one or more of their asymmetric carbons. So from here we can see that the glucose can have 15 other stereoisomers depending on the locations of the different hydroxyl groups oriented to the different asymmetric carbons. Let's now proceed to epimers, and let's differentiate them from your stereoisomers. Epimers are defined as stereoisomers that differ in the position of the hydroxyl group at only one of their asymmetric carbons. As such, as we can see here, D-glucose and D-galactose are considered epimers because their hydroxyl groups are the same except for carbon 4, wherein the hydroxyl groups are located at different positions. Okay. In the same vein, if we're going to look between glucose and mannose, we can see that glucose and mannose are also epimers because they only differ in the position of the hydroxyl group at only one asymmetric carbon, and that is carbon 2. So D-glucose and D-mannose are epimers, D-glucose and D-galactose are epimers. But can we say that D-mannose and D-galactose are epimers? No, they are not epimers, but they are stereoisomers or diastereoisomers because they differ. The hydroxyl groups differ in positions in more than one carbon. Okay, so they differ in the location of the hydroxyl groups in carbon 2 and in carbon 4. Okay, here's another look of monosaccharides that are epimers and stereoisomers. As what we have seen a while back, glucose and galactose are epimers because they only differ in the position of the hydroxyl group in one carbon, and that is your carbon 4. Also, glucose and mannose are epimers as well because they have only one hydroxyl group that differ in location, and that is on carbon 2. Okay. However, as we can see here, galactose and mannose are not epimers, but they are only stereoisomers because they have different locations of your hydroxyl groups in more than one carbon. Next type of isomerism is enantiomerism, also known as D and L isomerism. As we all know, a carbon atom that contains 4 different chemical groups forms an asymmetric or chiral center. The groups attached to the asymmetric carbon can be arranged to form 2 different isomers that are mirror images of each other but are not superimposable. And the basis for this designation in monosaccharides is glyceraldehyde. Glyceraldehyde can exist in 2 isomeric forms that are mirror images of each other as shown here. And the absolute configuration is defined by the molecule on the far left as D-glyceraldehyde. With the aldehyde group in the up direction, the OH group must project to the right side of the molecule for the D isomer, and consequently the OH group must project to the left for the L isomer. Chemists have used this configuration of D-glyceraldehyde to determine the enantiomer families of the rest of the carbohydrates. All naturally occurring monosaccharides belong to the D-enantiomer family. Most enzymes are specific for either the D or the L form, but enzymes known as isomerases are able to interconvert D and L isomers. To reiterate, monosaccharides are assigned to the D family according to the projection of the hydroxyl group to the right of the chiral carbon that is farthest from the carbonyl functional group. In the case of your aldohexoses, this is carbon number 5, also indicated as your penultimate chiral carbon if the carbonyl carbon is typically labeled as carbon number 1. The presence of asymmetric carbon atoms also confers optical activity on the compound, like your monosaccharides. When a beam of plain polarized light is passed to a solution of an optical isomer, it either rotates it to the left or to the right. To the right, which is dextro-rotatory, or to the left, levorotatory. The direction of rotation of polarized light is independent of the stereochemistry of the sugar, so it may be designated as D-, D+, L-, or L+. For example, the naturally occurring form of fructose is the D- isomer. Thus, emphatically, we have to differentiate that optical isomerism doesn't refer to the D and L isomers or enantiomers. In solution, glucose is dextro-rotatory or plus, and glucose solutions are sometimes known as dextrose. Another form of isomerism is dependent on the number of members comprising the cyclic ring structure. This gives rise to the pyranose or furanose ring structures. The ring structures of monosaccharides are similar to the ring structures of the pyran, a 6-membered ring, or a furan, a 5-membered ring. A very common example of your pyran ring and furan ring isomerism is that of glucose and fructose. Know very well that glucose is an aldohexose that when it forms a cyclic structure via hemiacetal formation, it forms your pyranose, specifically your D-glucopyranose. On the other hand, the fructose is a ketohexose, having a ketone for its functional group, and when it cyclizes, it forms a furan, which is your D-fructofuranose. Let us now proceed to discuss another type of isomerism, that of the alpha and beta anomers. The ring structure of an aldose is a hemiacetal, which is formed by the reaction of a nucleophilic attack of an alcohol group to the carbonyl carbon of the aldehyde group. This gives rise to a cyclic structure with a free hydroxyl group that is attached to a new anomeric carbon and to 2 different anomeric isomers, the alpha and the beta anomers. If we can recall, it is called an alpha anomer if the hydroxyl group is located trans or opposite to that of your CH2OH group. And consequently, it is referred to as a beta anomer if the hydroxyl group that is attached to your anomeric carbon is cis or belonging to the same side of the plane as that of your CH2OH group. We can see here that in solution, the isomerism occurs in two anomeric forms. Okay, you have your alpha D glucopyranose that is still 36%, and predominant form of your beta D glucopyranose in 63%. The process of the interconversion from one anomeric form to the other is called mutarotation. Let's now proceed to the last type of isomerism, a minor one, that is your aldose-ketose isomers. Fructose has the same molecular as that of glucose but differs in that it possesses a keto group in position 2, which will eventually become the anomeric carbon of fructose. Whereas in glucose and aldose, the functional group is an aldehyde and carbon 1, the future anomeric carbon. Chemically, aldoses are reducing compounds and are sometimes known as reducing sugars. Thank you for watching this episode for this playlist. Check out the other videos in this playlist and please do subscribe to our channel and click the bell to be notified of new video episodes that will be uploaded regularly.